Hello again, it's me, that guy with the YouTube channel, back with the spooky, scary skeletons and the shivers down your spine. Today we're going to be reviewing the creature replica, Louisiana Rougarou. This is the rare Fall Over edition from the same makers of such classic figures as Godzilla 1954 The Leaning Tower of Pisa edition, Bandai Super Gauss Out of Frame edition, and Bandai Creation Space Godzilla Taco Bell Scent Edition. So before we get onto the figure, here's this gigantic, gargantuanly oversized box, which Creature from the Black Lagoons box doesn't have shit on the size of this thing. I mean, this thing is really overly massive, but the figures, we'll just kind of pull them out of the way there. So there's this sticker there, and stuff is falling over. There's a sticker, Louisiana Rougarou. You can see my area that I'm reviewing in. The backdrop of the box is actually kind of nice. It's like a swamp, because this thing is from Louisiana, and there's a picture of the much better painted prototype, but we'll get to that later. Creature replica. On the back, there's the other figures of the Horror Hound, the Rougarou, which that paint job, I kind of like that paint job a little more than this, but this just looks a little more generic all-purpose werewolf, so yeah. This is the Yeti and the, oh boy, the overly depressed Sasquatch. He's so sad. You just want to eat. He doesn't like photography. Anyways, that's that for you. So starting with the details you can see on his toenails, they are very nicely sculpted. This is, of course, sculpted by Gene St. Jean, who also sculpts Diamond Select figures, although this is not a Diamond Select figure, but the sculpt is just as good as those. You see, he only has 4 toes for some reason, even though he has 5 fingers, and this is supposed to be basically a werewolf, just a slightly different take on the werewolf. He's an urban legend kind of thing, the Rougarou. He's like Bigfoot. That's kind of what this whole line covers, urban legend creatures. This is the very nice bottom of his feet, which actually does look kind of nice despite the copyright and really fucking big peg hole. But yeah, as you can see, it's pretty nicely painted. He's gray, which the gray is a little weird, but it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would. And here we got these brown stripes on his one leg. That's only on this one part of his leg here. It's supposed to be more like on this leg, where it's just like brown dry brushing. So that's kind of annoying that it's like that on this leg, but not always going to be looking at him. Yeah, you can see he's got brown over the gray. There's a kind of a light flesh tone highlighted on his less hairy areas, like on his really fucking built hips, like, werewolf don't skip leg day, dude. Kill me, please. Anyways, yeah, it kind of helps to make it look like it's human that is turned into a wolf. That made no sense. But yeah, these weird kind of bubbly patches on his more exposed parts, and I'm pretty sure that's because this sculpt is a retool of the Horror Hound, or maybe the Horror Hound is a retool of this. I don't know, either way, the Horror Hound is supposed to have these kind of bubbly patches of flesh, and they left it like that on this. And you can see his abs there have a nice kind of shading to make him a little more defined. The hair is very nicely sculpted on this. You can see coming up to his head here, he's just all furry and really muscular looking. You would not want to get into a fight with this thing, that's for sure. And he's got this funny little tail, which it's kind of comical and kind of sets off the whole mood, like you have this big, strong, powerful, scary-looking werewolf and this funny little fuzzy tail at the back, but you're not always going to be seeing that, and you're not always going to be seeing his wolf ass, unless you are like that, in which case you're a fucking furry and you need to get out anyways. Yeah, furry looks nice. The head sculpt is very nice. He's got these piercing green eyes, which are part of the whole Rougarou legend, that they can turn you into one of them with their stare of evil. See, he's got a slightly yellower pupil in his green eyes. The fangs are nicely done. The whole teeth are nicely painted. This one tooth right there isn't completely painted on mine, but whatever. Inside the mouth also looks nice. You can kind of see the roof of his mouth looks pretty good there, except the back of his mouth, which is just kind of left exposed. It's just kind of the way it has to be for the articulation. The only real complaint I have, other than that thing on the leg, is that there's no transition from the fur to his bare arms here, which is really off-putting, but again, it looks a lot better in person, even though it looks exactly the same as it probably does on camera. The bottoms of his arms are furry as well, and his arms overall look pretty nice, and he's got really, really big hands, and the camera is really wobbly anyways. So yeah, detail is very nice on this guy, and he's overall a very nice sculpt, and he loves to do this. So for articulation, this is one of the main selling points of the figure, in my opinion, because this is one of the most articulated werewolf figures to date. Starting with the head, it can look down a very far amount. It's barbell ball joint, so it can lean side to side and look all around. Only drawback is he can't look up, which is kind of a shame. So if you wanted him to howl at the moon or to just go on all fours like a more dog-like werewolf, you can't really do that. But his ears fucking swivel, so that's a big bonus. Yeah, they do that to kind of change his expression, or maybe if you wanted a pack of werewolves, you could have them with different looking ears, just to differentiate them a little bit. I don't know. Mouth is hinged, which it can open really wide, which is really good. It looks really menacing. Shoulders are ball hinged, which, believe me, this one was extremely stiff out of the box, but now it's nice and willing to move. Yeah, ball hinge shoulders, swivel biceps, hinged elbows. You taking notes? Creature from the Black Lagoon, hinged elbows in the swivel. You don't need to put in a ball hinged elbow with a swivel and a swivel ear. It's kind of pointless. Anyways, swivel right here, hinge in the wrist. A lot of these hinged joints are actually ratcheted, which is kind of nice, although the ratchet wears out very quickly and they can become loose, kind of like, well, I mean, when out of the box, these are nice and clicky, but see, the ratchet is kind of worn out, and now it just moves like a normal hinge. There's a swivel up here. It's not a ball joint, sadly, so again, you can't get him to look up and howl at the moon or go on all fours. And there's a swivel right here, which is kind of weird, but that's so they can switch out this part with the other part on the Horror Hound, which has the big open belly guts hanging out. Swivel right here, hinge right here. It looks a lot less awkward than on the Diamond Select Universal figures. Swivel right here, which really breaks up the mold, but this part of articulation is extremely crucial in getting him to stand. As you can clearly see, very ratcheted knee joints, ratcheted joints here, and then ratcheted ankles, which are still, as you can hear, very stiff, very clicky. And there's a swivel. A pivot would have actually been nice. I know I've said before I'm not too big of a fan of ankle pivots, but it really would have helped this figure stand. But considering how small these feet are, they probably couldn't have fit in. So yeah, as you can see, articulation is very great on, well, really good on this figure. And I'm pretty sure it's currently one of the most articulated werewolf figures in this scale to date. So yeah, that's that for you. So now that the Rougarou has decided to sit down, which is a much better idea than standing because this thing is really top heavy and has these tiny little feet, let's take a look at accessories. So first off, he comes with this base, which is reused on the Sasquatch, Horror Hound, this figure, and all the Sasquatch repaints, so kind of lazy of them, but yeah. And this is actually made for the Sasquatch figure because the part that plugs in here, as you can see, if I take it and plug it in, there's all these little bits where tree roots from a tree stump are supposed to go. So that's a little that they reused it, but it's just a base, and you can see it's all grassy and everything. Right here is vaguely Sasquatch footprint shaped, so yeah, but there's no like footprints of the creature or anything. There is in the Yeti base though, and he's the only one in this whole line with a unique base. As you can see, the part that plugs in with this one is this skull and crossbones on a spine with some shirt, which is cool. Apparently, this is, in the whole legend, this is the Rougarou's way of marking their territory, where they put this up, and that marks their territory. I don't know why they just pee on it like any other dog. Maybe they do pee on these things, and this is just taking it a step further. I don't know. Either way, you take your figure, you put the overly sized foot peg holes in the overly sized pegs, preferably in a position he'd actually stand. And just get him on there. You get the idea. You peg him on and he stands. That's all great. But he also comes with more accessories, even though it doesn't really seem like it. Comes with these torn bits of shirt. So he's got some shirt cuffs and shirt collar. The cuff parts of the shirt don't stay on particularly well. Most of these pieces don't, but you just put them on like that, and then you take this, and you're supposed to just get it around there, but mine doesn't like to stay on, so I put a little bit of blue tack there just to help, and it still doesn't stay on very well, but you get the idea. It makes it look like he's freshly transformed. So that's delicious. So now on to sizing. This is where you'll see this figure is very, very big. So first here he is with the Diamond Select creature from the Black Lagoon. You think, oh, well, but the Gitter Man is bigger. Yeah, but I got this guy crouching down all the way. If we get him to stand up just even a little bit taller, you can see he's already taller than the Gill Man. If we get him to stand up even taller, and get his legs closer together, he's a lot taller than the Gill Man, and the Gill Man is already a pretty big figure. So yeah, this thing is pretty big, and if I bring in a more human-sized figure, Hero Ash from the Ash vs. Evil Dead line, you can see this figure is... Get the fuck out of there, Gill Man. This figure is extremely big. So, if you want a gigantic werewolf figure, this is also a great option. If you want a figure that doesn't stand up very well, maybe you should pass on it. So for history of the figure and pricing, I'm pretty sure this figure was released not too long ago. I think maybe not even a year ago. So if you're looking for him, he's pretty common to get. Although these creature replica figures aren't necessarily the cheapest, because the pricing on these guys is usually around $40 to $50, and I got mine off the Creature Replica website for about, I don't know, about $45, so they're not your standard $20 you get on a Diamond Select figure, but they certainly are a lot higher in quality, and they are very good quality figures, and I think that's mainly because this is a smaller company that specifies in only this. Yeah, I would highly recommend that you get him. Even if the gray bothers you, still get it, because it bothered me a little, but I got over it once I got him, because it's such a cool figure. Or you could just be patient and wait, because I'm sure once they run out of Sasquatch repaints, they're going to go on to repaints of this before doing anything new. Oh, burn! Anyways, for a rating, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10, because he's a really good figure, and again, I really recommend you get it. Also, one thing I forgot to point out, if I can just bring in the creature from the Black Lagoon's base here, there's the skull there, and here's the skull here. So now that we've figured out that Gene St. Jean likes sculpting skulls with cracks in them, Shamama Jamo, it means I accidentally ate the whole thing.